All right, let's talk about a huge change coming to the UK insurance industry. We're looking at a brand new kind of financial fire drill, and it's called DyGIST. It's designed to see how the biggest players react, not just to a problem, but to a full-blown crisis as it's unfolding in real time. And that really is the million-dollar question for regulators, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing to test a company against a crisis that's already happened, something you can model. But how do you possibly prepare for a crisis that's fast, interconnected, and completely unpredictable? Well, the UK's Prudential Regulation Authority, the PRA, they think they've cracked it. And their answer is a massive departure from the old way of doing things. You see, on the left, that's the traditional approach. Firms get a nice, neat, pre-packaged scenario. They have weeks, sometimes months, to crunch the numbers and create a perfect report. But on the right, that's DyGIST. The scenarios are a mystery, they evolve over 3 intense weeks, and the companies have to respond on the fly. We're shifting from slow, careful precision to rapid, real-time, gut-wrenching decision-making. So let's get formal for a second and properly introduce this new beast. What exactly is the Dynamic General Insurance Stress Test? What is DyGIST? Okay, at its heart, think of DyGIST as a live-action role-playing game for the most senior people in the insurance world. For 3 straight weeks, the regulator is going to feed these firms a constant stream of cascading bad news, these adverse events, and then just watch how they handle it. This is so much more than just a number-crunching exercise. It is a full-blown simulation of a market spiraling into crisis. So you have to ask, why the big change? Why put the entire industry through this high-pressure cooker right now? Well, it all comes down to what the PRA is really trying to measure. And they've laid out 3 really clear goals. First, they still want to check the financials. Do firms have enough cash and capital on hand? Sure. But look at number 2. This is the kicker. They want to test the effectiveness of your plans. It's not about what your crisis plan says on paper. It's about, can you actually do it when the pressure is on? And third, and this is interesting, they want to learn from it themselves to figure out their own game plan for a real crisis. This quote just nails it. It really gets to the heart of the whole thing. DyGIST is about testing speed, governance, and leadership. It's asking, how good are your decisions when you have incomplete information, the clock is screaming at you, and frankly, everyone's starting to panic. It's a test of the boardroom, not just the balance sheet. And make no mistake, this is a huge deal. We're talking about a system-wide test. The firms participating, they represent over 80% of the entire UK general insurance market. We're talking about the household names, the big commercial players, the Lloyd's market, the whole shebang. So the results are going to paint a really clear picture of how resilient the whole sector is. So what does this actually feel like for the people on the inside? Let's try to walk through what it's like to run this 3-week gauntlet. Okay, the whole thing is broken down into 3 phases. It all kicks off in May 2026 with that intense 3-week live exercise. After that, firms get a little bit of breathing room to pull together a more polished final assessment. And then, finally, the PRA is going to analyze everything and publish their findings. But it's that first phase, the live part, that is the absolute game changer. To really get a feel for this, let's run through a quick simulation. I want you to imagine you're on the board of a major insurance company. The scenario is codenamed Digital Contagion. Your phone starts buzzing. It's begun. The first Inject hits your inbox on Monday morning. A massive coordinated ransomware attack has just taken out a critical software provider for global shipping. Suddenly, ports are seizing up. Supply chains are frozen solid. This isn't theoretical. It's a massive cyber and operational shock, and it's happening right now. And here comes the first challenge from the regulator. They want your initial estimate, your best guess of the total insurance loss from this whole mess. And oh, by the way, they want it in 48 hours. Think about that. You can't wait for the claims to roll in. You have to figure out your exposure immediately. Do you even know which of your thousands of clients use this specific software? The clock is ticking. Just as you start to get your arms around the insurance side of things, the crisis compounds. The supply chain shock sends inflation through the roof. The central banks panic and hike interest rates. That in turn causes the bond market to crash. So now it's not just an insurance event anymore. It's a full-blown financial market meltdown. And here's your next demand. The value of your company's own investments has just plummeted. At the exact same time, the future cost of paying out claims is soaring because of inflation. The PRA needs a complete recalculation of your firm's health, your solvency, your liquidity, and they need it on their desk by Thursday. And just to cap it all off, a third bombshell lands in week 3. Class action lawsuits are being filed against the boards of your corporate clients, suing them for not being prepared. Now, this is tricky. It's not a direct, immediate loss. It's a complex, long-term legal risk, what they call a liability tail, that could play out for years. You have to decide right now how to handle it. Okay, deep breath. That was just a little taste of the pressure, and you can see how intense it is. It's designed that way. So how on earth can a company prepare to survive something like this? It all comes down to having the right playbook before the game starts. This is absolutely critical. Firms need to build what's called a 2-speed capability. The speed layer is for that insane 48-hour deadline. It's about using simplified models to get a fast answer that is directionally correct. It's not about being perfect. It's about being roughly right now. The accuracy layer, that comes later, for the final submission, when you actually have time to do the deep, precise calculations. And your governance has to match that speed. You can't use your normal peacetime meeting schedule. You need a crisis command structure. You have your bronze team. These are the analysts in the trenches running the numbers. Then you have silver, the executives who take that data and frame the options and trade-offs. And at the top, you have gold, the board who has to make the final strategic call under unbelievable pressure. So if you boil it all down, firms really need to build 4 core capabilities before this thing ever kicks off. For data, you need the ability to create flash reports. For modeling, you need a library of those quick and dirty proxy models. For your people, you need a war room team that's already been identified and trained. And for the board, you need a pre-agreed process for making those lightning-fast, critical decisions. All right, let's zoom out for the big picture here. Why does this new approach matter so much? And why should you care, even if you're not in the insurance industry? The fundamental shift is this. DyGIST drags stress testing out of the back office basement and shoves it directly into the boardroom. It's no longer a theoretical academic modeling exercise done by a few specialists. It is now a frontline, C-suite, all-hands-on-deck crisis management drill that tests an entire organization's ability to react, adapt, and ultimately to survive. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. We've seen how DyGIST is trying to get the insurance sector ready for a new world of risk. But as all kinds of crises, cyber, financial, geopolitical, get faster and more tangled up with each other, are we going to see every major industry, from banking to energy to big tech, needing its own version of a live financial fire drill? It is definitely something to think about.